Hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 237. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. Today, we are talking about the B word, but not the one that you're thinking about. We are talking about budgets. And I am so thrilled to be talking to Shana and Vanessa, otherwise known as the Budget Besties. We are talking about simplifying budgeting so that when it comes to the overwhelm in our lives, we don't have to worry about financial overwhelm and stress, and finally live, as they like to say, bougie on a budget. So we're talking today about how budgets can be a tool for freedom rather than restriction. They explain their extremely simple 5-column system for simplifying your finances, and catch this, without having to track. Why overspending is a byproduct of having one black hole of transactions and what to do instead, and much more. So Shana and Vanessa are best friends. They're business partners, master financial coaches who love talking about the B word and helping women who make good money but have nothing to show for it set up an automatic budget system that fits their real life and their big dreams so they can be bougie on a budget. So without further ado, grab that notebook and pen and let's dive into today's conversation with the Budget Besties, Shana and Vanessa. Hey Mama, are you tired of your cluttered home and mile-long to-do lists but are too overwhelmed to know where to start? Do you lack the time and motivation and don't think you'll ever conquer the clutter? You're in the right place. I'm Emily, wife, boy mom, and declutter coach who has overcome the overwhelm in my own life through decluttering and simplifying. I believe every mom deserves the peace that comes from a clutter-free home. Ready to get your life back? Let's declutter your home, head, and heart together. Hey Shana, hey Vanessa, hey Budget Besties. Welcome to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast. I'm thrilled to talk to both of you today.
We're so excited to be on. We're not identifying personally with Moms Overcoming Overwhelm at all, but we are so excited to be here and to talk about the B word.
The B word, that's right. And people, if they don't know you, they're like, wait, what? Wait. I thought this was a family-friendly show.
Yes. I know. When I had those earrings made, I showed my kids. I was like, look, I'm making these for Shana for Christmas. And they laughed. I'm like, come on, guys. We're the Budget Besties. The B word is the budget. You know, don't act like you don't know.
Yeah. And just for anybody that's listening, I have wooden earrings on that have the B word with asterisks. That's what they are. Because nobody wants to talk about the B word except for us, because we're nerds. We really love to talk about it, but we're just trying to make it fun, hopefully. So
Yay. Oh, well, I would love it if you could each introduce yourself and just like how you became Budget Besties and what you do, how you serve women.
Yeah, absolutely. So we met when our boys were 4 and they are now 17. So they graduate next year. Oh my gosh, it's going so fast. Yep. So we originally came together in 2019 to start teaching FPU, Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University class. And when we started teaching that, we realized that, we're both financially wired. We love budgets. We love talking finances. And God really called us together to do this as a team. And when we were teaching this course, we realized that the expectation is that you're supposed to know how to budget. You're supposed to know and do it. And they didn't understand how to do it properly. And, the first day of the class is make a budget. And the next day you move on to the next subject. And they were caught on, well, how do I make a budget? And so we really dove into that specifically and really wanted to help them learn how to make a budget that wasn't restrictive, where they didn't have to live on rice and beans, and a budget that they loved and that they were excited about.
Oh, that's awesome. And also, my husband primarily does the finances, but I have those moments where I'm kind of like, oh, like, what if something happens? Like I need to be more financially literate for sure. But I do find that sometimes when people hear the B word, there's a lot of like reaction, like similar to routine, like, like it's so boring. I'm going to be miserable. This isn't fun. And I love your approach because it is very fun.
Wow.
Fun forward approach to budgeting. And so, I just want to talk about like your own experience with like, maybe you didn't always like love the concept of budgeting, but then through FPU, you were able to kind of like embrace it more. Like, how can budgets be this tool for freedom rather than, oh, it means I'm going to be miserable and I can't do anything fun?
Well, let's start here. Bougie on a budget. Okay. So you think the B word is restrictive and boring, and we understand that was our journey as well. Like you just said, well, and I'll rewind here, but where we ended up is let's be bougie on a budget. Okay. Bougie. And so that's fun. Like, okay, so we're going to get there. Where we were, as Vanessa was saying, is we were teaching at Financial Peace for University. We were teaching our clients the same thing: rice and beans, cash envelopes, gazelle intents,
because that's what we were taught.
Pay off the debt. And, we started to think, well, wait, we don't want to sacrifice eating healthy for any really reason, right? We need to make sure that people understand they don't have to live on rice and beans. They should, unless they have a really healthy, right, organic, whatever, rice and beans, but you can go for the healthier food. We also realized, people don't want to give up going on vacation with their family. Like we have children that are growing up they're going to graduate from the house, right? So we want to take those trips right now, even if we are in a little bit of credit card debt. So our journey was going from there to helping our bougie woman who wants to like be a responsible person with her money, but also live her life a little bit. That's where we ended up. Kind of divorcing ourselves a little bit from some of that gazelle intensity.
Well, we just really wanted to teach them that you can do both. Yeah. I mean, the narrative around budgets is that it's, restrictive. Like it's all this bad verbiage around budgets, and also like the fixed and variable incomes and or expenses and all these, kind of male terms that go along with budgeting. But we just really wanted to change that. We wanted to make it light and airy and something that women wanted to do and that they were excited about, and that it wasn't restrictive. I mean, our budget gives you the permission to spend. The way that we teach budgeting is completely different than anything we've ever heard or anything that our listeners have ever heard. And we're excited about that because we don't want them to hate it. If you hate it, you're not going to do it.
Right. Right. And it's kind of like, Emily, if you set up a system that nobody wants to do at home for like how their stuff is going to be organized, or even their schedule is going to be organized, or whatever, then nobody's going to want to do it. So that's where people like were bouncing. They were saying, I feel paralyzed. Like, I feel like I don't know. I don't want to do anything. I can't do anything. And we don't want that. It's your money. You work hard. We don't want you to be obsessed about it. We don't want it to be making you anxious or overwhelmed. Like, we really want to make it simple. And as Vanessa said, we want to give you permission to spend. We want you to be at the grocery store, be at the clothing store, be at the sporting event, and know that you have money to spend and everything else is taken care of. Like, we just want to take that overwhelm out of the finances for women.
Yeah. And when you're kind of working with your clients to kind of like have the foundation of what that budget is going to look like, how do values and like what is important for them as an individual and then also as a family, like how does that factor into that initial discussion when you're figuring out, okay, this is what this is going to look like, and these are the different categories, and this is how much we're allotting to those categories?
I think that's a great question, because a lot of people ask us, when we're guesting on other people's podcasts, one of the first things they'll ask us is, hey, as budget coaches, what do you tell people to stop? Or what do you have them cut out of their budget? And that's just not what we're about. We really want them to put everything in their budget that they love, that they're excited about, that they're dreaming about, that they have goals for. And so that way it matches their real life. So our budget has 3 separate systems. And the first one is to simplify. You have to know your numbers. You have to start somewhere. You have to know what you're working with. And so we really want them to start by putting all of their numbers on paper, whether that's digitally or, on pencil and paper, if you're old school like that. But our budget system does all the math for you. And it's 5 simple columns. Like, you're able to look at your numbers, your income, your minimum debt payments, your bills, your spending, and your savings, all right there. And you're able to know exactly what you can do with all of your money by putting it, in front of you.
Yeah. And the other piece to that is, and so when you say values, we have the fun way of saying bougie on a budget.
Yeah.
And what we mean by bougie on a budget, is that is different for everyone. Everyone has their version of bougie on a budget. I think of Vanessa's parents. They have this really fancy instant coffee, which all of us would be like, but it's really good. Like, that's maybe one part of their bouginess. We had clients, we helped them. They were such a wonderful couple, but he goes on hunting trips and she does horseback riding, and like, that's their version of bougie.
Non-negotiable.
That's what they're doing. And then other people, like us, maybe they're in just a season of travel sports and it's a season that doesn't end. But but that's what's going to be bougie in our budget. Or maybe, like I said, maybe you do health food, like you really are conscious about supplements and organic and getting the source, right source stuff or whatever. That's great. And we want that to be, like you said, your values to be reflected in your budget that way. And it can be, but that might mean if you're super bougie in this one way, maybe you're not. And that's probably because you don't care about that. Like you don't care about going to do shopping, but maybe you do like facials, but you don't care about eating as much food or whatever. Like, so whatever it is, you just we want to put your version, like Vanessa said, your real life into your budget.
And this is like, you may have 20 different subscriptions, online streaming subscriptions. Okay, great. If that's what brings you joy and you love doing it and you're watching all of them and using it, awesome, keep it in there. But if your goals and values reflect you wanting to travel, you wanting to go to a fancy restaurant once a month with your spouse, if you're doing other things in your community and that's in your budget, you can't do both of those. So if you're out in your community and you're traveling and doing all this fun stuff, then you're probably not at home watching 20 different streaming subscriptions, right? So like Shana said, it's a give and take. You have to figure out what your version of bougie is. Be excited about that. Put that in the budget, and your money, you'll be able to finagle your money to make it work.
Yeah, I love how it's such a personalized approach. Like a lot of times with decluttering, people will be like, so how many forks can I own? And like, how many coffee mugs can I own? And I'm like, wait, I mean, there's not like a minimalism police that shows up at your house if you have too much, it's like, no, there's not a specific number. It's based upon the importance of that to you and how, like we talked about when I was on your show, like your capacity to manage it and like your energy and so forth. So I love how it's such a personalized approach. And Vanessa, you were mentioning like the simplicity side of things, and I was wondering if you could talk about like this automatic budget system. Like what does that mean and how can it help like simplify so we're not having to think too much all the time?
Listen. Well, and that's the thing, is the first step, simplify, is so that we can eventually take the overwhelm, the overthinking, the anxiety all out of it. And the way I think of it is like, we have the 5-column budget system that Vanessa said. First of all, it looks beautiful. It looks like something I want to look at. But second of all, I think my 11-year-old could figure it out. And that was important to us when we created this budget. We did not seek to create a budget. That wasn't even part of our business plan. But when we tried to find one to use for our clients, they were so cluttered. There was so much going on. Like when I said ugly words like fixed variable, there's so many things that didn't need to be there. And
tracking.
Certainly my 11-year-old couldn't figure it out. Like right now, if you look at our page, like Vanessa said, you'll see your budget, all of your money, that's the number one thing we hear from people. I just want to know where my money is going. Let's put it all on one piece of paper. You can see everything at a glance. One, your income, your debt, your bills, your spending, and your savings. And that's really like, that's as simple as you can get it. And it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that.
And it just matches. So, if you pull up all different kinds of budgets that you see online, they're mostly tracking, right? Even budget apps, they're all tracking apps. They're all tracking budgets. And we don't want you to do that. Like we do not encourage tracking all of your expenses. And that is the way that our budget is set out. And we'll talk more about that as we get into the separation part of it. But there's no tracking required. You have separate categories for everything, and it's separate. And once you do that, then you have mini budgets. You have a mini budget for your gas and groceries, a mini budget for your spending, a mini budget for your kids and all that. And so just being able to see all of your money and not having to track it all, I think brings that overwhelm, and it takes the monkey off of your back, knowing that that is not an extra step or more time and energy that you have to spend throughout the month to manage your finances.
Well, and the separate is the second step in our automatic budget system. As you said, automate is the last one. It was like our favorite one, but the first step is to separate it. And I think it really pairs nicely with the way that you were describing, your transform method. Like the beginning is, we really need to see what we're working with, and we can start to branch off little stuff so that everything is in its place and it makes sense. We think of it like your silverware drawer, right? Each little place has like the forks go here, the knives go here, the spoons go here. I know exactly how many knives and spoons I got. I know where they go. If I find them anywhere in the house, I know what to do with them, right? We want it to be that organized. And we think our system really speaks to women because that organization really clicks in our brain. Well, we decided, as we said, when we were originally we were doing cash envelopes. Well, COVID hit, plus life and modern technology, and nobody wants to use cash anymore. And it's kind of a little bit of a pain in the booty. So we took that cash envelope system and made it digital.
Mhm.
You can separate your money so that you can very clearly see, I have money for this, I have money for that. And it really makes a huge difference for women.
Yeah. So if you want to just do a visual, like in your brain, you think of it as like a funnel. Okay. So all of your income is coming into a checking account called your bills account. That account is paying all of your monthly minimum debt payments and all of your monthly bills. And a bill is considered anything with a due date, anything that's reoccurring, anything you're getting charged for. Okay. And then from there, all your money is getting automatically transferred. We'll get into that, getting transferred into your spending accounts, plural, and your savings accounts, plural. So think of your spending. How do you spend money throughout the month? Well, you're either buying gas and groceries, or you're going out to eat, or, going mini golfing with your family, or, dining, entertainment, restaurants, things like that. Or you have personal spending money for yourself or your husband, right? Each of you are going to have your own spending account. And you probably have one for your kids, because we need to have one. Their money is not your money is not their money. They need to have their own. So that way everyone is separate. So, so you have your bills account, the spending accounts, and then your savings accounts. And the savings part of it is saving for all those unexpected expenses that pop up throughout the month or the year, which are Christmas, birthdays, anniversaries, travel, annual bills, all those things that randomly, those, like we said, unexpected expenses that throw you off. Like we just got off a call and the lady said that she had a $3,000 auto insurance bill that was due every 6 months. Well, coming up with $3,000 in 1 month is not easy. So being able to put that in your budget on a monthly basis and figuring out how much that costs monthly, so your budget is consistent and you're always funding it, makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, that just fills me with a lot of relief.
Yeah.
I'm sure your clients say the same, like just the way that you're explaining it. And especially when you said like not tracking, that seems pretty revolutionary because I've been on a health journey for a while now. And so I've been like tracking my food for several months now. And it's a priority, so I'm doing it. But man, it's a lot of work. And when you think about like the modern woman, who's trying to keep everything going for like, oh, I have to track my macros and I have to track my spending and I have to know like where the kids are going and do the appointments and all the things. Like the mental load is so much. It's nice to be able to have that kind of approach, like we were talking about with the funnel and how you beautifully described it. And now I'm butchering it, but but just not having to be like, oh, what did I spend here and how and why and whatever. And it's just, just so much like freedom and relief in that. I love that approach.
Well, when you're talking about the modern woman, what she's dealing with is she's at checkout, wherever she is. And then she's looking in one black hole of an account and thinking, okay, can I get all of these groceries? Do we have rent? Is the mortgage paid? Does the kids, registration fee go through? Do I have enough to go to dinner tonight when we're having that church dinner or whatever? Like she's trying to like come up with all of these decisions out of one account. And that's why it's so important to separate it, because then, fun friends, you don't have to make any decisions. Your bills are already covered. Like Vanessa said, all the money's in that bills account. It's its own checking account. It's like a fortress. It's just protected. Bills are always paid automatically. Check, right? But if I'm in the store to get groceries, I have my groceries account. And it's funded either weekly or every week. We can talk about that. But I always know how much money I have for groceries. And I know if I go buy groceries, I don't have to worry about if I can make the dinner plans. I don't have to worry about if the kids will have money for their field trip. I don't have to worry about the bills, because the grocery is its own envelope. It's a digital envelope, right? So that's what we call a checking account. But it's the same concept as the cash envelopes. And if you think about your money being separated, you always know how much money you have for everything. You always know where it's coming from. And that organization is really what makes people feel not overwhelmed, and they really start to feel like they actually know what's going on with their money.
Yeah, we're just swapping, because let's say you probably have a couple credit cards in your wallet for quote unquote backup, just in case. And so what we want you to do is stop relying on your credit cards and have a couple of checking accounts. And like Shana said, these, your gas and groceries, your spending money, maybe you have one for out to eat, dining, restaurants, things like that. And the amount of money that you have to spend in those categories is in that checking account by itself. It's not fighting with anything else. It's not fighting on whether or not it's supposed to be for this or for that. It clearly tells you how much you have to spend when you go to the store. So there's no decision anxiety there, and you're free to spend.
Yeah, and just from a logistical standpoint, for all those different spending accounts, do we have separate like debit cards for all of those separate accounts or because I feel like that might be a potential added layer of complication to someone, like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, is this the gas and groceries card or is this because even we only have like a couple of different credit cards, but because the point systems are different, my
Mhm.
husband's like, this is the one you use at Costco, and this is the one that you use at the grocery store, and this is the one and I'm like, what? I'm at the gas station. I'm like, wait, what card am I supposed to use? Because I can't remember. And how does
Yeah.
that work so you're not like complicating that aspect of it when you separate out those accounts?
Yeah, so it's kind of going to work in a similarly but less confusing concept. So you're going to have your gas and groceries card. You're going to have maybe an eating out slash we call it family fun. Like it's going to be going out
Yeah.
bowling or whatever, all of that stuff.
Chick-fil-A.
And then you'll also have your personal spending um, debit card. So you'll have three. A lot of we have debit card stickers that we put on it, so it's very clear. And it's so clear. If you're buying gas and groceries, this is the card I use. And I have a separate mini budget for it. So it's so much easier to make decisions. But we have, and then people use Sharpies or they have just different debit cards. So it's three cards that you're going to have in your wallet, but it's like when you used to carry around cash envelopes, right? That was kind of a lot too. This is not that much. People really love the system, but the idea is to take the overwhelm out, and it does not actually end up being so overwhelming. The idea that I did want to jump into it was about kids though, because I remember you saying you have a 6 and 9 or 6 and 8.
8. How old are they? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
8 and
They're
9.
younger. Yeah, yeah. So the kids, and I think that that's really important to tell your audience, because one of the things that we found, and it may be different for you if your husband's kind of doing the bulk of the budgeting, but kids can really like throw a loop, like
Yeah.
throw a wrench into your whole budget. And so we love to have some different options for moms to be able to deal with these kids and their spending and whatever they may do for your budget. So, for example, when they're younger, you might just have one kid's line item and you might get out $50 in cash, and they can take this for field trip fees. They maybe they want to go, you want to take them for ice cream once or twice. Like you have this line item that's separate from your personal spending money, separate from the bills, all of that. So that that's what I have for the kids when they're younger. As they get older, they can each have their own account, and you can start funding whatever you guys feel makes sense. And then the decision becomes theirs,
Yeah,
right?
transfers.
Yeah, they are now the ones, instead of you having to do all the deciding, then you can say, look, you have $50 a month.
Mhm.
You can go out with your friends. You can get a new pair of shoes. You can do whatever. You can't do it all, but you get to decide, and the
Yeah.
decision's on you.
And so all of our between the 5 kids that we have, they all have their own accounts now because they've graduated to that. And it's just easier, especially when they go out with friends and things. Like my daughter, she didn't have breakfast yesterday because she was running late. Well, luckily her school offers acai bowls on Tuesday mornings. So she just used her little debit card to go get an acai bowl because she gets funded every week for some money. And that's what she chose to use her money on. I don't have to tell her what her money is for. She knows she has money and she gets to decide on how it's spent throughout the month. And that removes all the decision for me away. Gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just such a great way also to teach kids that financial literacy, at such a young age, and to be able to allow that to grow with them so
Right.
that hopefully they can use this system from the beginning,
Yeah.
from when they're trying to figure out like, because I know the student debt issue aside, there are so many opportunities. I even remember being in college and there would be all those like booths for like credit card signups and everything. And my dad was always like, no, don't ever do that. Don't ever go
Good
there.
dad. Good dad.
But if I hadn't had a parent that was so adamant about it for an 18-year-old kid, like it's pretty enticing. Like, oh, wait, and I get this like perk or I get this freebie or whatever, this swag or whatever. And then they just, you get in trouble. So I really appreciate that idea. And now you're making me think that even at a young age, maybe introducing some of these concepts to the kids because they get cash and stuff from birthdays and whatever. And we've been just kind of like, well, if you have the money for it, then we'll consider you getting such and such. But we haven't really provided a lot of structure around that. So I think you've inspired me to start introducing that to kids. So thank you.
You're welcome. And what we'll say too is, you can bring the kids in on the conversation at any age. It just depends on how you are speaking about it. So we like to tell people like it's never to your kids, we're broke, we have no money, we can't afford it. Like all of those terminology can be really negative on them and it can have them grow up with some type of money baggage. But when you're bringing them in on the conversation in a healthy way and say, hey guys, you have $40 or $50 a month this month to be able to spend. What do you want to do with it? Right. And then you get to sit down and make a little mini budget with them and allow them their responsibility so that, like you said, they could start having that financial literacy at a young age so that when they get their first job, when they go to college, when they get married, when all these different steps in their life, they will know how to manage money because of those small conversations that you've had with them.
Yeah. And it's not you having to say no anymore.
Right.
Or a lot of times, Emily, what we see is you say yes too much. Like a lot of times the breakdown in your budget is you're saying a yes when you really don't know if you can afford it. You don't, you just want to say yes. And you don't want to have to figure out if you have to say no or not. And so if we can move that and look at our numbers all at one and say, hey, look, we can afford like without too much, whatever, putting $200 toward the kids each month. Okay. And that means if they want all of the things, like everything that's coming up, that's the pool of money. Like that will first help you to make decisions. And then it will also you'll transfer that over to them so that they actually have some experience making decisions with money early on so that they can also say, I can afford things. So like Vanessa said, the answer is not no. It's not that we're broke. It's like, do I want this more than that? And, some of the conversations we might have with our kids is like, that's great that you want to go on that trip with your friend, but guess what? We're also paying for travel gymnastics. And that's what our family is choosing to spend our money and prioritize, and like just bringing them in on the conversation. Like we said in the beginning, the B word, people don't want to talk about it. It's not a bad word. Money is not a bad thing. We just we can control the way that we talk about it, the way that we introduce kids to it, and then give them some autonomy. One of my favorite things that I learned from someone that I listened to is her dad taught her early, like, if you want something, you can go make the money to get it. Like that's the lesson that she got as a young girl when she wanted a bike or whatever. And so she babysat and did whatever, and she got the bike. And like that's the kind of like empowering message that we want to give kids about money. That way they don't turn to credit cards. They don't turn to all of that. They learn to figure out how to afford things by either saving up money or making choices or whatever. And so, yeah, definitely want to bring them in on the conversation.
Yeah. Well, I have one final question. So when I was on your podcast, we talked about impulse spending and that kind of thing. And I'm curious for your clients and listeners, when you give them that personal bucket, for personal spending and whatever, how does that impact their impulse spending and their relationship with, do you notice, like, do you hear feedback like, oh, I used to go to Target and just kind of get whatever, and now because I know how much I have that's actually put aside for me, that I can use that as a tool? Like, how has that transformed their relationship when it comes to spending, like impulse spending?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'll start with the story and then I'll go into the why. We had a lovely client, Michelle Castro. She came on our podcast and she gave her testimonial about it. And she said, I used to just spend. I used to go to the store and just buy whatever I wanted in the moment. Didn't care because I had one account with, like Shana was saying, it's a black hole of transactions. There was money in there, but I didn't really know what it was designated to. And I didn't know when I was going to have money again. So I would just buy the thing, whatever I wanted. She said, but with me having my own spending account, I know exactly how much I have for me. And also knowing that the bills are taken care of, the kids are taken care of, gas and groceries are taken care of, maybe Christmas, travel, annual bills, those are being funded in the savings accounts, right? And she said, if I wanted to buy something, she's like, and I didn't have the money, I knew that it was getting replenished in a couple of days because she replenished her spending account weekly. That's what she chose to do. And she said, I didn't feel the urge to go buy the thing right then and there because it was what I wanted. And I wasn't throwing a temper tantrum in my brain anymore about wanting the thing because I knew the money was getting replenished that next day or in 2 days and I could wait. But I think it's the idea of knowing that you're always going to have money. It's always coming. It's always going to be replenished. Whereas before, if you saw money in your account, you didn't know. You had no idea how long it was going to last, how much more time you had until it was there, and all of that. So being able to have that money separate really paints a clear vision of what is yours and how you can spend it. And it really does. Like, we don't focus on overspending. It's a side effect of separating and organizing your money.
Yeah, and I know Michelle actually. She was in my
We love
she
her.
was in my P2P group. But yeah, that I love how you say just kind of that black hole of transactions because that is totally, I think, the norm for most people. And to just kind of realize like, oh, well, this behavior like is coming from the fact that I don't know what is in that black hole. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, it seems like this should be okay. And so you're
Like,
not really yeah, you're not like making decisions from that place of like agency and choice rather than saying like, oh, well, I know that I have this, and so I don't have to do this right this minute. Like I can actually wait, whereas my normal thing would be, oh, I'm going to get it now because I can. But
mhm.
it's almost, yeah, that feeling of like relief and knowledge, like I'm good. Like I don't have to do this the way that I used to do. So
Yeah.
thanks so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like it starts to take away any of those feelings because you know things are taken care of. And I know that I get to have money and it just is a natural. So that like, we love that you asked that question. We can't explain it. Like we don't have the science. We don't have like the dopamine, blah, blah, blahs. We just see it over and over. When you know you have money and it's set aside, and at the same time, you know, everything else is taken care of, you naturally stop overspending. It just happens. And so it's like, well, like maybe if you get your closet organized, you naturally start dressing better. Okay. You naturally, or maybe you stop buying stupid stuff that doesn't fit your wardrobe because you know what you have. You like the way it's working. You know, or maybe you know exactly what you need to get to supplement it. But like just the knowledge, the ownership, and feeling that, like you were saying before, that sense of agency, that control, like you have that. You're on top of it, friend.
Mhm.
And you have one micro decision. Okay, my Shana's spending account says $10. Okay, we're gonna walk away. We're gonna walk away. But if it says $100, maybe I'll stay. Maybe I'll stay. You know, and like that's the only thing you have to think about. Poor woman the modern woman who has so many things to think about.
Yeah.
So she just immediately goes to, I'll just buy it and I'll figure it out later. Now you have this one little decision and it's one little thing, one little piece of data. That's all you have to think about and to make a decision on whether you should buy it or not.
I love the freedom and all of it. And just really appreciate you both and like the mission that you have and how you're helping women like me that maybe sometimes are kind of like, I don't exactly know what I'm doing. And sometimes there's some like shame in that. Like I am, 45, like I should know this. Like I should know how to budget. I should know how to do this. But just you guys are very like, welcoming and just, I don't know. I love the fun approach. Like you said, it's just like very airy and just fun. So I would love it if you could tell everyone where they can connect with you, learn more from you and all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to plug really quick though. I know people think that you should know, but if you were never taught, like then you don't know, and that's okay. So I just want to throw that out there because we have a lot of people that say that like they're wonderful, wonderful wives, wonderful moms, and they're wonderful members of their community and all this. And like, but I should know how to do this. But yeah, but nobody sat down and taught you, then it's okay that you don't know. And that's why you're here. So I just want to say that. But where can they connect with us? We would love for them to hop on over to Financial Coaching for Women on our podcast. If you're listening to podcasts, just jump over there. There's a ton of free resources. We have over 500 episodes, so you can definitely learn a lot. And then we also have a little free masterclass for you.
Yeah. So you go to budgetbesties.com/start. And so we didn't really get to the step. We love you so much. We didn't get to the automate step, but that is the last step. So once you make it simple, once you get things separate, then everything can happen automatically. And your budget that you set with your good intentions will run automatically on autopilot. Like the bills will get paid, the spending will get funded, the savings will start to stack up automatically using your bank and any bank this can work with. So you can go to budgetbesties.com/start to learn more about that.
Yay. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And thank you for teaching us all about the B word. It was lots of fun.
Well, Emily, thank you so much for having us. We had such a wonderful time.
Hey, Mama, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, could you please share this episode with another mom who is feeling overwhelmed? Also, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a 5-star written review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Finally, if you would like more support, come on over to our free Facebook group, tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. Can't wait to connect with you soon.